Good afternoon, everyone. Today we're going to deal with chapter 5. Yeah, already chapter 5 we are dealing with God's design for husbands. Ephesians chapter 5, 21 to 33. Last time, do you remember what we dealt with? We dealt with how wives we can submit voluntarily to our husbands. Today we're going to think about like what is our ideal marriage. Um, Answer yeah, either marriage could be our mutual growth in Christ, and especially for husbands, if you can express your love as Jesus did to the church, that could be the ideal marriage. Um, we're going to look through two chapters. One is about the story of Solomon and his wife, the Song of Songs. Especially chapter 6 is showing how the husband, the bride, is showing the love to the partner, and bridegroom, and King David and Abigail are a wonderful couple. But Abigail is well known because of her wisdom. So we're going to see here in chapter 5, God's design for husbands in marriage. There are some of the questions I'm going to ask. So just refresh your mind and open the chapter 5 and look at it. And Christ's love for the church is the example of how to love your wife. Are you agree? Yes. Why and how did Christ express his love for the church? That's a good question. Why and how? Because he loves us. And how did he? He bought us actually through pain. That sinfulness. He gave himself, and he shedded his whole blood. What an amazing thing! Anyone? You think you can voluntarily give your life to your spouse? It's actually not easy question. Even the parents cannot give up their lives to their children. Even the parenting love has some limitation. Then how can a husband follow Christ's example in his motives and actions with his wife? That's very important. We've got to actually follow as his disciples, and we are called as his body. Husbands, you are called to love your wife just as you love yourself. And Jesus, he was a good example. First, he was not selfish. And second, his action was very practical. What do you think? Sometimes we say, oh, I love you, but our service, our commitment could be not exactly same level of what we give promise or vow to our spouse. A husband is to love his wife as his own body, yes, but sometimes we do not commit ourselves fully. So our priority sometimes really changes. So in what ways do you love and care for your body? Yeah, when we care our bodies, we apply very good things on our bodies, and we buy um, so luxury and fancy stuff for ourselves, and we try to meet our needs. In the same way, we've got to try satisfy our spouse needs. That's the way like we can express Jesus love. And how can a husband follow Jesus example? Have you ever thought about it, like how you can nourish and cherish your spouse? Yeah, I can hang out with my girlfriends. Yeah, maybe I can take care of my girlfriend or my spouse when they are sick. Good ways. Yeah, but in the Bible, Jesus, he's actually showing like very sacrificial love and fully committed life. Yeah, we are still sinners. So we are actually in a process of learning, and love your wife unselfishly. Yeah, it's hard, but there are 5 different languages. Do you remember? We can give a compliment, and also we can be with them and spend time, like quality time together, and also giving a gift. It's not just saying, "Oh yeah, I love you," and you are beautiful, and today you look very good. Maybe we can practically we can actually giving our service. That's the thing. The last, can you remember? That's your task. Please let me know. And next page we're gonna deal with. Um, Tuesday we're going to watch this YouTube about 20-25 minutes. It's about like the Gary Thomas, a well-known minister who is expertise in the marriage and marriage life. He is explaining how husbands can show love and cherish um, wife. The MCs, they were actually asking, I think to guys, cherishing is not man-me, um, but it's more like cherishing is like a woman's expression, or like they are really unfamiliar. So they're asking, how I can cherish my wife, in what ways? And the answer was, hey guys, you think about how you cherish your car. Is that your good answer to you? Yeah, we cherish guys, you cherish your cars, maybe like your device. Then it's gonna be really easy how we express our um, thankfulness and showing our gratitude. um, yeah, it's all about like cherishing and loving. But guys, I'm challenging you, you can express naturally, if you keep on exercising and practicing. Why not? If you can express Song of Songs, that's what he said. So that's why I prepare Song of Songs. Do you guys know like King Solomon? King Solomon has many of concubines and wives, about like 1,000. Yay. Maybe somebody say it's insane, but because he has a big kingdom and palace and all the wealth, and you know his fame was all over the world at that time. So the story in the Song of Songs about like King Solomon and his bride, there is one expression, my dove, my perfect one. It's the only one of her mother, and pure to her who bore her. And who is this? Who looks down like the dawn, and beautiful as the moon, and bright as the sun, awesome as an army with banners. There are some of the expressions, not only for this, actually full of all the expressions. So you got to think, especially Song of Songs, um, it's outlined it like this. So I'm going to give you like in details, but it's actually good to look through it, because as wife and husband, you both learn how we express very naturally about spouse beauty and their um, their wonderful attitudes, and it's all about marriage. It's I think the beginning of the honeymoon kind of life. Maybe you find some creepy expressions, but just try. And when God is bringing spouse in your life, there must be God's plan. So here I'm going to talk about the last story about King David and Abigail. When God sent someone in your life to give you some wisdom, sometimes that could be your wife or your husband, because they are the the best friends to you and closest person who can actually give a frank advice and comment. Here we go. If you are married, has your spouse ever pacified your anger as Abigail did for David? King David was in a very big trouble. As you know, King Saul was chasing him, and he was running from the King Saul, and he was living with hundreds of the warriors and soldiers, and they were in the wilderness. He was stepping down, but he knew that how to fight, and he had authority. He had authority, but Nabal, the husband of Abigail, he was very ignorant and stupid man. So he didn't really recognize and acknowledge the presence of David and the soldiers. So although David shows great favor to Nabal's the staff and all that flock David warriors protected, but he did not really has shown his thankfulness. So he rejected David's offer. David was asking, "Would you just give me that favor back because I protected your flock and sheep, and we are in hunger? So can you just provide some food because we are actually living in wilderness and we need more food and water." But the thing is, Nabal rejected, and he got so furious that David got so outraged. And that time, Abigail listened that all that report from um, the servant, and then she was immediately pack up all that foods and went to the David and just kneel down and ask his favor. So that's kind of the backdrop of the whole story. So how did David show godliness in his response to Abigail's appeal? Abigail, yeah, she was afraid of all that um, David's attack, and she knew that David was one of the a great warrior, and she didn't really want to get in trouble. And but King David, he listens to Abigail, and he did not kill the whole male side of the Nabal because he thought that Abigail was very wise and becoming a good mediator. So sometimes your wife or your husband can make you calm down. We lose our temper, and think about your temper, or sometimes we are not logically act, but your husband or your wife, you can supplement one another. And here is the first Samuel, King David and Abigail. When Abigail saw David, she hurried and got down from the donkey and fell before David on her face and bowed to the ground. She humiliated herself and very humble, and she fell at his feet and said, "Oh, on me alone, my Lord, be the guilt." That means I am guilty. "Please let your servant speak in your ears, and he hear the words of your servant. Please forgive the trespass of your servant. Please forgive." She's asking, she's appealing to David and forgiveness. "And for the Lord will certainly make my Lord a sure house, because my Lord is fighting the battles of the Lord." She knows, the Lord Adonai chose David, even though David was chased by King Saul. "So my Lord shall have no cause of grief and pangs of conscience for having shed the blood without cause, or for my Lord. The Lord has dealt well with my Lord. Then remember your servant." That means, please do not shed innocent, um, blood. "So I came here to ask your favor. Would you just save our all household? So I came here to beg you and brought all the food." That's what she said. And King David answered, "Blessed be the Lord, the God of Israel, so who sent you this day to meet me. Blessed be your discretion, 판단력, 사고력, and blessed be you." So she got all the blessing from King David. She saved her household, and then he came back to his own her own house. Then she found Abigail came to Nabal, and behold, he was holding a feast in his house, like the feast of a king. Nabal was not a king. Maybe he was belonging to some noble class and rich, but he was acting like he is the king or lord. So she did not really mention anything about the things happened during the day. And Nabal's heart was merry with him. So for he was very drunk. She is very wise because she knows the good timing. So she just resumed herself. And then very next day when Nabal was sobering, and then she came to her husband and saying, you know, you could have died. So I appeared to King David and he saved your life. Then, after hearing that all the stories, how the household was saved by King David, then that morning, Nabal listened and his heart died with him, and then he became as a stone. So he got too much shocked. So that made him like sickness. And then 10 days later, the Lord struck Nabal and he died. Ooh, what a terrible story. But here is the thing, like sometimes we think we are right and we make judgment so quickly, immediately, but God is using other people to listen, their discernment, their wisdom, so that sometimes we stop when we are going on off track. So God is using your spouse. So even though you don't really want to listen to others, especially like your close friend and your girlfriend, please listen. God is talking to you through your spouse and your close friend and your girlfriend and boyfriend. So you remember, like we had effective listening. Effective listening is so important because God is talking to you through your spouse. Have you done your homework? Yes. The very last thing, remember, so express your song of songs in your own words and listen and admit what your spouse say about you. You have flaws, and yeah, we are sinful and we have so many weakness. Then how can we amend ourselves? We cannot without listening to others. So God brought a perfect half for your life. Please listen, and you can be transformed day by day. This sanctification process, you go with Jesus and with your spouse. Thank you, and let's meet up. See y'all on Tuesday night.